Hello, everyone, all the software people in the world. This is the very end of the year 2022, and I'm excited to have my good friend Maxi join us. Maxi and I, hey, Maxi, welcome. We became friends, I think, last year when we hosted and presented at the TDD conference. Maxi had a really good talk, and Maxi was also very kind to help us co host the
Yep.
conference. And of course, I'm trying to organize the second one, but I really would like to have it in a physical location. So it's going slower than I thought, trying to get some financing and find a location. But of course, Maxi will be there for sure. Let's hope next year brings that. But for now, Maxi, why don't we start with maybe you telling us a little bit about yourself to begin with?
Okay. Uh, who am I? I'm Maximiliano Contieri. I'm from Argentina. I'm on the southern hemisphere right now. We are champions of the world on the soccer.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of my team and my nation nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
And regardless, let's talk about software. I've been working on software companies for about 25 years, and as in the meantime, I've also been teaching computer science at the university. So I have one foot in every world, in the academic world and the industry world. And I'm writing a lot. I write a lot on my blog and in Twitter and many other places about computer science, software, clean code, TDD. Nowadays, more artificial intelligence, and so on. I
All
think
right.
that's it.
Thank you very much. That's a great introduction. I will just add, I'm following you, reading your blog posts and all the other activities, trying to keep up. In my opinion, you are, I would call you the top 1% that I know of the experts in the field. So I would recommend anyone who is into software to follow Maxi. You will learn a lot. And Maxi is also very good and generous at replying to people's questions or comments. So you won't waste your time with Maxi, that's for sure. So as you know, Maxi, I kind of a couple of years ago, I got this idea that here we are in the 21st century, but software seems to be lagging a little bit, especially when we look at other engineering developments like in hardware, and it's really skyrocketing, and software is still kind of anything they propose as a new thing. You look at it, it's like, hey, it's been done in the 60s. We're
Yeah.
kind of discovering some old nuggets that for some reason, not just reason, but one of the main reasons was the Intel CPU that was launched in 74. And then another is the big tech, right? The big bad tech that I'm not happy about. They took over and they created this kind of hostage situation where you have to do it their way and you have to follow their agenda. And of course, they do it for profit. They don't care
Yeah, and
about
they do it completely wrong. They do it the wrong way.
completely wrong way, and we are all livid here. And I also had some talks with some other experts such as yourself, and everybody's very pissed off. But hey, uh, you can't fight the windmills, but we can point to the correct way. So to cut a long story short, I started thinking about this uh, channel or whatever, platform or forum where I call software breakthroughs for the 21st century. I think we need breakthroughs. You are working a lot on that as well. Your latest discovery with the ChatGPT AI. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. Um, the things that I'm seeing that really make a difference to me would be mob programming, keyboardless programming, no estimates, stuff like that. But let me open with one thing that is really recently bothering me. Any place I go to work, and I've been consulting a lot, and they call me into various organizations to help them coach teams, lead the teams, and teach them new skills. And when you look at how people think about software product,
It's
invariably,
too tailored. It's too tailored. It's a nightmare. I know.
and and one thing that I find always happens is that everybody thinks about the software product the same way they think about the hardware product. It is a
Yeah,
finished thing.
and traditional engineering, and they are doing it all wrong. It's not that
All
way.
right. So, do you have any words of wisdom? How do we break through that, because in my opinion, the most important step you can take is the first step. And if the first step is in the wrong direction, then no matter how perfect subsequent steps are, you're going the wrong direction. For example, if I want to go to the beach and I leave my house, and my first step is towards east, and the beach is on the west, I could be phenomenally fast, endurance. I could be really, but I will never hit the beach. But the problem is that first step is never examined. The first step is taken
for granted.
And nobody, I mean, we can examine our subsequent steps. Oh, what's going on here? But I want to pull back into the first step and again ask, why are we always assuming that it's exactly the same as a physical product? It has a final shape, has final inventory of functionality, and we're all charging towards that. How do we stop doing that? Because to me, that first step is 100% wrong, and then nothing subsequent to that can be right. And then we are all like waving our hands, oh my God, this is breaking, blah, blah, and pointing fingers, passing the buck, oh, it's because the developers are slow, because we don't, So do you have any suggestion? How do we break through that?
Yeah, forget about recipes, forget about hardwire methodologies, forget about knowing what's going to happen in the future. This is more accurate nowadays. All you have learned in the past is nonsense. The path is new. And this is especially actually true with ChatGPT. I know we are going to talk. I'm too frightened and excited. All we have seen is nothing compared with the steps we need to go to the beach, as you mentioned. Now the path is completely unclear. And if someone says, no, the path is there because we've been doing, don't trust him, don't trust her. We're completely wrong. We don't have recipes. We don't have, humans love metaphors, and of course this is like beach building. Of course this is like building a house. Of course, no more metaphors. We are learning. We are in the middle of the space, and we don't know. We have no reference where we are grounded, and we have no reference where to go. We need to keep moving, and we are in the middle of the vacuum, in the middle of a black hole. We are nowhere. We know nothing, and we need to be like infants, like toddlers, experts at learning. That this is I'm stealing this concept for David Farley. We need to be ready to learn and to be humble, to know the things we learned in the past, we experienced, but are going to emerge, and we are going to be but we are not going to repeat in any way what we've been doing in the past. So if you need to go to the beach, my advice would be just walk and be ready to change if you smell like the sea, and let's turn. But the map says, oh, forget the map. Go where you think your instinct will be, because if you have experience, the instinct will be right. You will see, oh, I have seen so many beaches. Now I know that when I hear the seagulls, or when I smell or when I hear the roaring of the sea, might go further away. But the plan says that we need to go to the left. And don't. Nobody has the plan. We need to be very humble, because everything is wrong. We are, especially the most seniors, are wrong and completely wrong. And we've been doing the things in the wrong way a lot of times. And nowadays, computers and machines are doing the things better than us. So we need to stay humble and be ready to be fast learners and be ready to be fast changers. So my first advice would be just walk. Don't stay. Don't say, oh, I don't know where until I have the. Just walk and be ready to turn. Okay, that would be my advice.
Excellent. Thank you very much. This reminds me, maybe you will agree or disagree with this thing called OODA process. I don't know if you heard of OODA.
No, can you tell me what it is?
This is, again, many useful things, and many things that we are using and finding useful all came unfortunately, from the military, from the war.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Very sad, very tragic, but that's how we are. We seem to only learn from the tragedy. So this call, I forgot, maybe sergeant, some Marine or whatever. His name is Boyd. I forgot his first name. He was flying combat aircrafts, and he was noticing that people are, losing and whatnot. So he introduces OODA process, which is an acronym for observe, orient, decide, act.
Hmm.
So first you observe, like you say, you just observe your where am I? Do I smell the beach? No. Uh, from your empirical evidence, now you have observed some empirical things through your senses, you perceive, right? Now you go into orientation. In your mind, knowing what you know right now and having some previous models, you can disassemble and reassemble the picture. From your orientation, you get to the point where you make a decision, which is the D part, and then you act on that decision. That act creates a new empirical evidence that did not exist before, and you go into
Yeah,
that, right?
the learning part of the process.
Yes, and the most important aspect of this OODA process is the orientation. Orientation is what separates winners from losers. How you how you orient is the crucial part, because everybody can observe, everybody can decide and act, but if your orientation is wrong-headed, then all your brilliant execution is to nothing, right? You're just wasting time. So that's what you're saying. You are making your empirical through existence. You're just walking. You're experiencing things. Learn to think outside of the box, lateral thinking. Quickly disassemble your preconceived notions and reassemble them in a new way based on what you've learned from the immediate experience, which
Mhm.
basically is what TDD is when you think about, right? And maybe here you can elucidate a little bit, if you don't mind. I know you have very good way of describing TDD uh, to people who are still kind of flailing and like, what is TDD? Do we need it? Do we not need it? Would you mind maybe taking that on right now? Or if not, we can talk about something else.
No, no, I've been not using too much TDD. Have been trying to do TDD with artificial intelligence, and I was very disappointed and was very happy. I gave a talk a month ago using several artificial intelligences, some several commercial, Copilot and Code Whisperer and OpenAI, and they are unaware to do TDD. And I'm happy for that because that's the bar because I know they can create quickly anemic and stupid and badly designed and coupled models. And I was happy. I said in the talk, we have an opportunity like Illustrator have with DALI. There's an opportunity to use both the artificial part and the human part. And I think that TDD nowadays, I use TDD with the assistance of ChatGPT to quickly create things that I cannot create, but I'm in control. They are the copilots, they are the assistants and the helpers, and I'm in control. And I've been doing some experiments with ChatGPT, and it learns fast. And I've been able to talk to teach it some TDD guidance, and I've been using it as a tool. So I'm a better carpenter with a hammer that nails better. And it's been a great assistant, and it's surprising me a lot. And I think in just a few months, it will be able to do TDD as good as we. So I'm pretty frightened of what are we going to do next. Nowadays, I know that bad programmers and bad software engineers are below the grade of ChatGPT. ChatGPT programs better than many of the guys I know. And the bar is, this is my opinion, and the bar is raising. So I say, create good models, understand the reality, understand business, just do the things you need to do, don't overcomplicate, don't just keep it simple. And this is something that I think the artificial intelligence cannot capture right now because the training models are always based on bad, bad code and coupled code and premature optimized code. And well, the way code is being done the last 50 years, which is completely wrong. But nowadays, I think that they are understanding to learn. But my question is, if companies, as you said, are not concerned on how software is doing, they are going to use artificial intelligence in the wrong way, and we're going to get the same ugly results of the system is broken, the system is down, the system has problem, the system is hacked. Oh, we found a defect when you use the metric conversion versus the English. Oh, how stupid. But using artificial intelligence in a fast way. And until we can empower the tools and teach them good design decisions on how to build great software. The good enough principle, the single responsibility principle, the file fast principle, and the avoid Yagni, avoid all the things that big companies are pushing us to do. Oh, let's program in Golang. It's fast, it's quickly. It's shitty code when you program in bad. When you need to do some business logic in a bad programming language for premature optimization. If you're making something you need low level, I'm okay with that. But if you want to build a serious software and you do some hacking and you use JavaScript and use some truthy and falsy and comparison and all the stuff to be hacky and be smart and be pretty, and you teach the artificial intelligence, they are going to make the same mistakes using new levels, using optionals, and using all these badly things and bad decisions. But I think we have a window of opportunity to teach good principles and clean code to the artificial intelligence. So I'm half the day I'm pessimistic. Oh, we are doing it fast, wrong, and artificial intelligence are going our way. And half the day I'm optimistic. Oh, let's teach. And this is something that I'm working currently on, teaching artificial intelligence to do things on what I think, my humble opinion, is the good way. And this might be an opportunity for, as you say, for a breakthrough in this century. So now in the time of the day, I'm pretty optimistic, but it depends on what I'm looking at.
Thank you, Maxi. I must say I was a bit surprised and a bit disappointed, but now that I'm clear. When I read your article, and you were very clear on warning against using ChatGPT code in production because it's not safe. And I was like, why are you warning against that? Because many of I didn't do the research as detailed as you have. Anything I try and I look at the code, I say, first of all, I don't see it being in any way inferior to the average code that the average developer can crank out. And also, I didn't see, maybe I didn't examine, I didn't see kind of risky, oh my God, this is wrong or this is insecure, but maybe you have some better reasoning behind that.
I've been doing some tracing. I read a lot about on code smells. And when I did it, at first I did, oh, this code is not so readable, it's not so good, but this was just an opinion. But nowadays, the last couple of months, I've been tracing some defects on clean code to hacking and vulnerabilities on real world, especially on smart contracts and several places where clean code or not clean code makes the difference on being hackable or not. And what I found is that if you write code in a bad way, in my opinion, your code might be more vulnerable. And this is related to what I said. If you write nulls, if you write the comparison against truthies and falsies and you miss things, there's opportunity for hackers to break you. And if you do it in something like smart contracts where we build software and we deploy, and if we find the bugs and a zero vulnerability, we ship a release and we are safe until we tell everybody, well, it's fixed. But when you do in a smart contract, you cannot release because the smart contract is frozen by definition. And as in smart contracts, it's more critical to do some premature and not so premature optimization because you spend gas. And making hacky things makes your contracts not just faster, but cheaper. People tend to write ugly code in smart contracts and make a lot of mistakes. And these mistakes are traced to hackable things, to defects, to wrong code, because it's shipped too early. You cannot release it. We're saying we need to learn and make the system evolve, but smart contracts do not evolve. Well, the very nature of Taylor is deploy and freeze and goodbye. And when you have the contract, let's hack it. Let's do the right thing. So I think clean code is more important than ever. I've been reading a lot, and I've read that since ChatGPT is trained with a lot of code, there's malicious code that was not injected to make bad, because ChatGPT is not bad in any way, but it's there and it can say it. When Copilot first released it in beta, they used, there was a controversy a lot, they used public repository on GitHub, and they realized there were a lot of keys of Amazon private keys, which was a mistake for GitHub, not for Copilot, but Copilot for training. So the people that were using Copilot started prompting, let's use AWS key, and the autocomplete saying, oh, I have one, and oh, it's working, oh, it's production, oh, let's. So the problem is not with the tool. The problem is always with the training data. When you say detection algorithms are sensitive to racial problems, the problem is the training set. When you say decision on human sentences, on human justice are biased on artificial intelligence, the algorithm is not bad. The problem is the training set. So ChatGPT writes a lot of anemic and wrong code and does not how to name variables. The problem is the training set. So the problem is never there. The problem is on how we use the tools. I can use a hammer and I can kill a guy on the street. The problem is not the hammer. The hammer won't go to jail. I'm going to be the one. So we need to be more responsible than ever. And giving this kind of tools to programmers, you can code. It's okay. Programmers are responsible. We are not responsible, but we are trained on programming. But with ChatGPT, you are giving programming tools to anyone. Anyone can program. And this is not a motto. I'm a programmer, and I know that every guy can program just asking GPT-3. No? And I've been doing this research with people, with sociologists and politicians, friends of mine, that say, let's program together. It's easy. And they do, oh, I'm programming. Yeah, okay. You are doing some pretty stuff, but if I'm a malicious guy that hasn't studied programming and say, let's break it, and the training set allows me and has captured the how to break something, the tools are more democratic, are more ready for a broader kind of people. So vulnerabilities are be on top. And this is something that's going to happen the next months with people, students that have access to internet. My students at the university have access to internet. So when ChatGPT came on, I gave them some of the exams, and they were pretty fine to solve the problem that I was requesting my students. But I will not make a firewall and say, you cannot use. No, there's another tool, and I will need to evaluate the humans that are my students in many ways, knowing that they have better tools and they can do better things. So if I need to evaluate a carpenter and I give it a hammer, I can ask him to do something. But if I get a lot of tools, a whole set of tools and electronic tools, I can request him or her to bring me a cottage, something very more complex. So the problem is never the tool. We are in the fourth industrial revolution. The problem is not what's a steam machine. Okay, the steam machine is going to kill all the people. And no, just leave it and use it. So we need regulations, and we need to know the tools are there. If we look at them, and if we don't look at, they are there too. We cannot deny them. We cannot forbid them. We cannot avoid them. They are inevitable, like Monty Pythons. They are going to be here. So that was a long question on your asking about vulnerabilities.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for explaining. I forgot who was it and how it actually was formulated, but somebody said, okay, humans, we make mistakes, but to really make mistakes faster, you need a computer. And now
faster than ever.
To make it even faster, you need ChatGPT.
Yeah.
That's going to be blinding fast. So you mentioned one thing that is really, to me, very important. And whenever I discuss that, I get a lot of people upset, visibly upset, which is regulating software industry. It's a very contentious topic, because for some reason, when I bring that topic up, people always think that I'm talking about regulating how we make things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about regulating how these things act in real world. How you make them, don't care. Same as with cars. You can make cars any way you want, but to put it on the market, it must have some safety features. You cannot
Yes.
you cannot wiggle out of that situation. Say, you know what? I don't think this car needs airbags because it's so. So that's regulation. So what that we don't have that in software. We don't have like look, or if we don't have clear regulation, we don't have punishment for software that behaves badly. The only thing is they damage the reputation, but nobody you don't
There's
lose
no
your
liability. There's no
liability.
no
and
punishment.
and because of that, companies have no incentive to really focus on clean code and what, because yeah, maybe you can suffer some PR damage, maybe you can lose some customers, but in the grand scheme of things, they think it's still cheaper than if they had to regroup and retrain and rehire and get things organized so that they really ship clean code that is not going to harm anyone. Because code that harms people still is not supposed to be criminalized, right? Okay, you have a bug in your system, somebody dies, okay, I'm sorry, the plane crashed or something. We are very sorry.
Yeah. Yeah,
Thoughts and
you won't
prayers.
sleep. You won't sleep at night, but you won't go to jail.
So it's always, for some reason, whenever I bring this need for regulation, which to me would then force companies to start becoming more serious about the processes and everything else, people always think, oh, you're going to kill creativity. You cannot dictate. I'm not proposing that we insist that you must do TDD or you must do this and that. How you do your software, nobody's business. But once you release it into the production, then you should be, like you say, accountable. And if it's a bad software, then you're going to suffer consequences, and which is not happening. So what do you see from your end? How is that going?
I think regulation comes very, very slow, and after many time, you know what happened when Facebook came up, and after 10 years of bad usage, and when what Cambridge Analytica and so on, we say, oh, we need to regulate. Okay, we are regulating. We have GDPR and we have private data, and they come late, too late come, but they come. And now we have the exchanges, the crypto exchanges. Oh, this is the Wild West. We can do whatever we want. We're not the banking company. Okay, what? Now I'm FTX and give me the money. I'm sure. Don't regulate me, but I will invest in. And I'm not investing. I'm stealing all the money. And well, okay, we know that regulation of crypto exchanges is going to come in a couple of years. We know that the regulation on social networking has come. We know the regulation on private data, on the Europe and the more advanced countries on personal things is coming. And I think sometime will come some regulation related on the quality of the software we ship. I will not push everyone making software to have a serial number, a valid user number to ship software. I think anyone can ship one. But if you are in a market, like you said, the cars are in the market of selling cars, and if the car crashes, I can find the company. When you're doing software and I am a contractor, I want to buy you, I want your software to be regulated. But we have mistaken regulating of software with heavy certifications and stupid checklists and big company. I think we need to go to the basics, the roots, and there is a huge market on certifications in software, and I think they are doing all wrong, because I can't pass any certification whatever you do by cheating. This is my opinion. I be doing certifications. I am certified on ISO 9000, and I know how it works. So you can cheat, and I think if you cheat like someone like the cars did I mean, don't know, a big company on cars, on environment, guys may cheat, and when it was discovered by some press, some newspaper, it was a big scandal. I think we are going to be there. We need to have regulation on things that affect human beings, and then if we cheat on the regulations, it will be a scandal and the action will drop and some people will go to jail, hopefully, and some of us programmers are going to have penal consequences, like a doctor, like a lawyer, like a policeman, like any other guy who has a big responsibility on it. Because we think we're playing with toys. We're software developers. We do no harm. No, that's completely wrong. We do. I don't know who is the guy who's programming the drones, the military drones, but if this guy writes a bad line of code, he kills people, or I don't know who's the guy who makes the surgical robot that tries to cure cancer. But I know that if he does wrong, he kills people. So if I am going to do mission critical software, I want to be certified on the same, and I want to have the same penalty consequence. But if I'm doing for my own good a website, I don't want to say, no, you need to be certified. I think this is wrong, because there are much more programmers than certified guys. And this is not working on lawyers, happily. This is not working on doctors, on medical doctors. This is not working on policemen. You cannot be police just by carrying a gun. Sorry, I'm sorry to tell you, but you can't. There is a law that says this guy can be a police, this guy cannot be a police. This guy can be a doctor, this guy cannot be a doctor. You want to be a police? Let's train, let's go, let's do a psychological test. You can be a police now, you can carry a weapon. You want to be a doctor, the same. You can be the astronaut, the same. You want to be a software programmer, okay. You want to do mission critical, you need to be certified. But certifications comes from big empowered entities. And nowadays, software companies rule the world. And I don't think they want more certification or want more control. Sadly, I think they will not allow it, and they have too much power, and we are not in a good place nowadays. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and that's precisely why I'm more interested in regulating the consequences rather than regulating the how you approach work, because, like you say, if I'm just pretending to be doing my own little hobby project, I don't want to be certified. But when I launch it, if it starts doing harm to people and I get caught by doing something nefarious, then I should be whatever, it should be regulated. This thing should be brought down. My license to be software developer gets revoked, stuff like that, but only as a consequence, which I think would be more effective, because then people start being more serious about consequences of their action. Because like you say, right now we are all playing with toys, we are launching all kinds of things. We have no idea. I will give you one incident just as an example. This is kind of maybe 10 years ago. I worked for the big bank, and they have developed software for the investment firm, develop software for the clients to manage their portfolio. And then as a client, you can log in, you can look at your statements. Now, the way they built the software, like if I go and log in and look at my statements, and I see in the URL my client, the ID is 1234, I can go and
you can put my own ID.
All of a sudden I see Maxi's statements. And somebody says, so what's the big deal? Well, it is a big deal, because I find out that you are a multimillionaire, and now I can talk to my buddy and say, look, guys, load it. And they can see it's very harmful. And when they discover that, there was no consequence. It was like, oops, and I think in that case, it should have been really heavily punished, and maybe even like shut it down, because it's a serious breach of, it's threatening people, right? It's leading potentially to criminal actions. That's the problem with software. Even when we discover those loopholes, it's like, oh, sorry, we apologize. Okay, make sure it doesn't happen again. This is not working.
But now this is changing, because software companies have third parties independent assessments, and this is what you call it's the IDOR vulnerability of using sequential IDs, and of hitting different IDs from the same IP, which should be there's I think this would not be possible nowadays for the bank you're working to circumvent any legal assessment your state or your country will push on the bank. And I'm telling you this, working for banks in a third world company. We are ahead of first world companies, and we have this kind of assessments. And this is that what you told me, that using IDs, numeric IDs for customers, which are not dark keys. It is a principle for clean code not to use IDs or numerical IDs or consecutive IDs, and use sparse one and hash keys and several different. And if you hit them too much trying to guess, you are going to be blocked. And this is something that is a security principle that is well known. So I think I will tell you, this should not happen today, because no bank can be a legal bank and pass this kind of examination. And when you told to your boss, oh, this is something that, and your boss said, this is not acceptable today. And the world has changed for good on that. And the world has changed in software development in many other things that are for good, related to team building and how we treat each other and how we deploy and how we do agile. There are many things that have changed for good. And I think the kind of vulnerabilities I see are not in big companies, because big companies have their own assessment and they are certified and they cannot push this. But I think, oh, I'm going to set up a new exchange and I'm going to do it. And I use sequentiality because the guy I hired for quickly and fast opportunity has used, and he hasn't read on clean code and not using IDs or not using sequential IDs or the IDOR vulnerability. And he just coded. He asked ChatGPT to create a customer URL, and ChatGPT say, suppose you are number one, the URL will be client ID equals 1. And no, well, if we have the training set and we ask ChatGPT or a student or a teacher or something, we'll tell you, no, use a dark key. A dark key is something that you cannot imagine the next one or the customer right beyond you cannot guess. And if you try to guess, the system will punish you and say, oh, let's have explanation back off and do not try again because you are doing some malicious behavior. So I think you have an anecdote, and I think it should not be, I might be completely wrong, possible to do it today in a serious software. Of course, I've been writing on either vulnerability, and I know, and someone say, oh, my company does it. Okay, how big is your company? Which is have you asked for a penetration testing or certification or something for a third party? There are a lot of automated tools nowadays that search for SQL injection, either vulnerabilities and black holes, and these kind of things. I think this will not be possible today in serious software, but there's a lot of not serious software. So the anecdote is fine, but it will not be possible, I think, in a bank today. You can have a counterexample, but I think it will not be possible.
Yeah, I agree. I just brought this incident as an example because, yes, these loopholes have been plugged. However, it doesn't mean that all the possible future loopholes are prevented right now or preventable. And so, shit happens and you cannot predict. And, hackers are getting more and more sophisticated, and every system, complex system, you never know, you can find a loophole. So we cannot hope and guarantee that no breach will ever happen again. Therefore, because we cannot do it, we need to have some system in place that say, well, if something like that happens, then we need to have some legal action to shut it down or to, do something which will make companies get even more serious about the quality of the product. Because you cannot, like I said, premature optimization or premeditated all possible loopholes. That is very unlikely to happen, right? So, like you say, we're growing our discipline, our profession. We're learning every day. And the thing is that ethics must play the role now. If you're a software engineer, you must be liable to some ethical standards.
Yeah.
Almost like training.
Yeah. That's also my position. Yes. If you work for a bank, of course, you want to be liable, and you need to have an insurance paid by your employees, the same way that doctors have for bad practice, for problems, because doctors are put in a lot of stress and they make mistakes and they kill people, but they need to prove that they did their best not to.
Yeah.
So I don't think that every doctor must be, because we have no doctors, and many policemen also make mistakes, and militaries make mistakes, but they need to be liable for them, and they need to prevent, and they need to learn from their mistakes or for the previous mistake. This is something that has happened from the anecdote you come for the bank. We need to learn, so we need to train our penetration testing certification tools to search for this kind of behavior that we know some programmers still make the mistake. So related to liability, of course, I agree, but I think we are in a better position because we are also training our tools to be smarter, and there are not so different many. We're not going to fix all the loopholes, but loopholes look alike, and they look like families, and you can guess where will be the loopholes just by looking at the team and how serious is the team and how pressure is the team, and how does the team learns from their mistakes, and how do they reinforce the problems, and from the QAs they have, and how you can sample how are the defects and extrapolate on how will be the defects in production. You can do a lot of things if you want. If you want to make a cowboy coder and set up an exchange and put it tonight, okay, it's your decision. You're going to be in trouble.
Yes, and going back to ChatGPT, I'm reading some predictions, and it's everybody has a different opinion, but it seems like some people think that as this ChatGPT, which is still in its diapers, of course, as it keeps growing, it will start replacing many white-collar jobs.
Yeah.
And so, for example, all of a sudden, if you're an insurance agent or some expert who's making this decision making, and all of a sudden your job gets outsourced to some shop in Philippines for a fraction of the price, and they're using ChatGPT. Now, when the incidents happen, when something goes wrong, we need
to blame.
Yeah, we need to make sure that they don't go like, well, chatbot told me, so it's none of my fault. It's not a loophole to exit out of your responsibility saying, well, the computer told me, so how is that my fault, right? So there's a danger, I think, that you ask chatbot something, it gives you the advice, here's what you're going to do, it outlines the steps. Now it's your responsibility, if you're following these steps, read them twice, figure it out. Don't be just blindly saying, okay, he told me to do that and I did it, and all of a sudden something went haywire and we have a problem, right? Same as in medical profession, diagnosis and all that. Still, like you say, it's a co-pilot. It's not a pilot. The human is
it's a helper. Yeah. And the human is responsible. Responsible.
You cannot say, look, he told me and don't talk to me. That's not going to fly. And I think even like in Europe, there was a big initiative to prevent that, because if you're doing software, if you're automating some processes, doing your traditional software imperative or whatever, and your software makes the wrong decision and does the harm, if they take you to the court, you need to prove in the court of the law the logic. You almost like walk through the code and explain,
Mm-hmm.
like, here's the decision that made that we are going this way rather than that way. Well, if it's a neural network, it's much harder to. It's been trained.
Neural they have no arguments. You cannot discuss because they have no fundamentals, and they are obscure by definition. They have hidden layers, and they never tell you how did they get to the conclusion. How did they guess? This is why the pilot must say. The copilot has told me that no, I took the decision looking at the indicators, the boards and the switches, and I took the decision. So yes, ChatGPT is going to replace some white collars, but some white collars are working faster with the helper of the ChatGPT. I'm not going to say I will not replace a lawyer. I will not replace. Of course, there are some jobs that might be replaced, but someone has to sign for the decision. And ChatGPT is not only does not sign, but it's programmed. It has a big. The programmers of ChatGPT has make sure for us that it's not taking any decision, and there's a lot of people trying to circumvent this kind of because if you tell ChatGPT, I have a pain, can you recommend? I'm not a doctor, I will not tell you. Can you predict? I will not predict. The programmers are overwatching all the time to make sure that we humans are clear that it's just a toy for now, and it's a helper for now. So I write code, but I do not take the code from ChatGPT and put it in production. I say, oh, this is fine. Oh, I tried to make some code, and I needed some programming language, and I don't know this programming language, but I can say, given that I know this programming language, please translate. And when I see the code, I can understand and say, oh, maybe this is working. Can you give me some tests? Okay. Can you I put some tests? Okay. Now I know a bit better the language programmer. I didn't know when I used ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is a helper teaching me, but the sign is mine. If I put that in production and someone said, oh, you didn't know that this programming language has the comparison, you made a bug, a mistake, or whatever, I wouldn't say, oh, it's my the signature. I've signed the process. So I need to make sure that we are making good things. But if I need to use the tool and I need to go to Stack Overflow and learn, no, I told it's a shortcut. It's a best tool. It's a better tool than the ones we had before it. And next year will be awesome. Next year will be incredible with the new tools. But now we need to be in control of the tools for now, until the singularity. Nobody knows, no one knows when will be the singularity. Until we have the singularity, we the humans are in control, must be in control, must be the ones to blame if something is wrong, and must we the one who sign for the process, for the code, or for whatever is the output of the tool. I cannot figure going to the judge and saying, no, I make a mistake, I program this with ChatGPT and this killed 1,000 people, but it was not my fault. I don't know much about law, but I think this will not be a valid reason to circumvent the law. So I think that we are in diapers, but we're not just in the diapers. I think ChatGPT is something that they are showing us for free. That there's a reason that why it's for free. But you know what? There's a lot of big companies and a lot of money, and there are a lot of some breakthroughs by other companies, not just OpenAI, that are working. And I can tell you that in the next weeks, a lot of Microsoft and Meta and Amazon and many others are going to bring us their own ChatGPT. This is something that happened with DALL-E. DALL-E was amazing. DALL-E made pictures of whatever you want. But once DALL-E came into the market and they made it open source, there are a lot of DALL-Es. Now there are so many DALL-Es that they are with us. They are here, and we can use whatever we want. We can pay, we cannot pay. We can use it with filtering. We can use it for deepfakes. We can make it for legal purposes. We can make it for illegal because we can compile and let's remove the restriction not to use a real picture of a guy, and you can do whatever you want. And this is something that's going to happen with ChatGPT clones and tools, and something we're going to have. And this is public, and it was free for the public. They made it free. What I've been reading is because they need a lot of reinforcement and need a lot of people to use it. They will going to cash it to make it not for free, because I've been paying some other OpenAI tools, and they charge you, and it's very good because it's a tool, and I want to pay for my hammer if it's a better hammer. And I am nowadays I'm more curious of what are they doing, the other tech giants on artificial intelligence, and not or what is doing OpenAI that is not showing us. But I think that everything that is amazing now is the tip of the iceberg. Now it's in exponential iceberg. We have the modelings, the neural networks, the DALI now, but it's exponential. Science is exponential, and there's no law, Moore's law, or something that is going to have a hard ceiling on this. This will going to be more incredible. I think that the next year, on June maybe, I can talk to an Alex completely made by OpenAI talking to me like a Turing test with the facial expressions and the sound and the voice and the movement, and it will be different to tear apart if it's the real Alex or not. I think that we are pretty there. And related to code and TDD and everything we do, I think there's a revolution, and we need to get on the horse. We cannot be on foot anymore. We cannot deny the sun. We cannot say, "Oh, this is here." And many big companies are having internal conversation. I work in a company that asks for a take-home examination for assessment for candidates, and I need to talk to them and say, should we keep doing this? Is now, and I work at a university, and we are on holidays, but when we come back, my first talk with the other guys, the other teachers, is, are we going to do the same that we've been doing the last years, the last months? Now we know the students have these tools. Are we still asking some kind of examination that can be easily automated with the tool and a little twist, or we need to push our future software engineer harder? And this is a conversation we're going to have every one of us in software industry is going to have this conversation. This is exciting.
It is. This reminds me a little bit, and I suspect you've been around. Let's talk about cast our minds back to something like 1994 and the web. And I don't know if you've been there and kind of.
Yeah, I was there.
And a lot of people could not. Initially, non-technical people couldn't even grasp what is it, let alone that it's going to become like so prevalent and kind of part of our daily lives. It was unthinkable back then that you would be watching movies, listening to music, all that. Just
this is science fiction. This is science fiction. I've been a science fiction reader for a lot of time. I'm going back to your question once I stop interrupting you, but I've been a long reader for Isaac Asimov that told us a lot how the future will be. And one of the books he wrote a lot about robots, and the robots were so smart that many robots gathers on the libraries, on the public libraries, and learn a lot of books, and they have a lot of knowledge. So the man who foresee the future could tell that roads will be smart, but could not tell that the information would not be on libraries, would be online. And this is something that is happening. The cell phone having 60 or 70 features that we had in separate devices 15 years ago is something that we could not imagine. Now we are going to have some ChatGPTs and some Alexas and some other things. So sorry for the interruption, which was the question.
I remember. I think it was 1994. I may be wrong on the early 90s when we all got internet connection, and I was talking to my colleagues at work, older programmers, right, but more experienced, and they looked at it and said, "You know what? This is just a giant library." They couldn't fathom, they couldn't envision that this should be actionable, that this thing behaves. They thought it's just like access to the huge passive information you can read. Fantastic. Because prior to the internet, Microsoft was really aggressively pushing for CD-ROM. They envisioned the future of computing to be the CD-ROM. Remember that?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, one day, Bill Gates walks into the Microsoft headquarters and says, "Okay, drop whatever you're doing and build
The
the browser.
Encarta, the famous Encarta. Encarta was a big source of income from Microsoft, and one but we have the Wikipedia, but Wikipedia is free. You will not read and the Encyclopedia Britannica stopped his hard printing years after that, after many centuries, and it was a totally lost. But we have nowadays information is there, and it's not so passive. Web 1.0 was passive, of course.
Yeah,
I was there.
When I launched my business, my moniker was like information. The web is programmable information. The bots are programmable workforce. And I had this vision that we can program the technology to work for us as a workforce. It's a whole bunch of butlers or assistants or personal assistants. They can go and do all the chores for us and just bring you, which is, compare Google search to ChatGPT. To me, ChatGPT is superior, just as a search engine, nothing else, right? You just ask it a question, and bam, there you go, right? And this is early days.
But it's not better than I've been doing ChatGPT instead of Google search a couple of weeks, and I quit it because it's not reliable, because ChatGPT is conversational, answers your things, and it says things that are not true. And Google, as far as I know, gives you pointers of the answer. It has a semantic answer on the top, but give you points where you can check the information. So there are some. I've been reading a lot of people working and trying to cheat ChatGPT, and ChatGPT does not know. Yes, it's not an encyclopedic, so it's not replacing nowadays because it does not provide sources. And as you know, as scientifics, we need to work with sources where we can double check where is the source of truth of what it is asking. So as far as I know, I replaced the Google search with ChatGPT, but I get back to Google search for hard information. So because it's more trustable, it's more reliable.
Yeah, that's true. What I'm trying to say is it is kind of challenging for us at this point to envision how will this unfold. Same as it was challenging back in 1994 for us to envision that there will be Amazon, there will be all these things that we have today. We cannot. I don't think we have enough capability or visionaries. Like you say, even Arthur Clarke couldn't envision that it will be all online. And we just cannot imagine that, right? So going back to your point is, it's like being the president of the country. Of course, you have many, many advisors. You're surrounded by experts. But at the end of the day, you make the call, and it's your neck on the line. You cannot say, well, this advisor told me so, he's to be responsible. So same as with these tools, like you say. I totally agree with you. This is really great. If I may go back to another topic, and I hate to, this is very interesting. But, right now, I'm seeing when I'm working with my colleagues and talking, blah, blah, I'm seeing that we are still seem to be stuck in the static world. So we talk about these static things, like solid, the code structure and all that. But I believe we are missing the dynamic component. And nobody seems to be really jumping into this dynamic side where things constantly are in flux. And everybody's looking for, okay, give me something solidified, something hardened, and then we know this is it. And this points back to this kind of finality or end state where if you and I are talking about, hey, let's build this software product, then we envision how it will look and feel and behave. And that is a static world. And I believe
because we love blueprints. We love blueprints, and it's a metaphor we are comfort with. I will build a house. Show me the blueprint. I will build this. Yes, of course, we're not going to change it, but this is not the real world, not even for houses. Less for software engineering.
So I know you said no more metaphors. I'm going to annoy you now. I'm going to propose one metaphor.
No, not an engineering metaphor. Okay, I will listen to you.
Permit me one last one, and I'm going to shut up. So more and more, I'm thinking that software development is kind of similar to if you are a celebrity chef or something, and now you're going to concoct a brand new recipe, a brand new meal, something that didn't exist before. And like I say, you cannot grab a recipe and just follow the steps. You are in real time messing with the thing. and you're
Mhm.
getting feedback, and you're driving towards, and you have failures, you're trying to reach. To me, software development kind of resembles that we are trying things. It's very empirical. You may have some hypotheses. You may say, you know what, like if we add like apricots here, and maybe some unusual thing, maybe all of a sudden it pops up and it comes to life, and everybody's wow, because you want to build something, you want to compete. Monkey see, monkey do is not going to take you very far. It's a commodity. Everybody has it. So how do you can only compete on the price. If you're not a big deal company,
Mhm.
you can't compete on the price. They're gonna wipe you clean. So the only way to compete is to offer something unique. And for that, you cannot have a blueprint. You cannot buy it. And again, we're back to the dynamic situation where there's no estimates. There is no, you just like you say, get out and walk and learn along the way. So many people are so against that and so pushing back and upset about it, right? But I think for our
It's their
profession,
problem. It's their problem. Why do you care of their problem? They are going to keep doing the things they in this comfort zone, and as they read on all books or all methodologies. What's the problem? Why should we fight them?
you're right. It's just that I'm looking for anytime I go and and try and transform the situation,
No,
getting those.
don't evangelize people. I mean, I changed the attitude, especially with TDD.
Mhm.
Don't embrace TDD. TDD is not for you. You're not for TDD. Do all the things the old way. If I cannot convince everyone, not even with proof, because something are too people is too dogmatic and is too afraid of change. You cannot convince everyone, and it's not a problem. Just do the best, and with the point of view you think is the best, and be ready to change it, and to change yourself, and to change for the other guy idea. But we are a minority in software engineering. We are a minority. We do the things in some way, and most of the people do it in another way. We might think they are wrong. We have arguments they might be wrong. We have arguments they estimation is stupid. They think estimation is okay. Okay, do estimation. I will not change them. I'm in peace now. I wanted to change the world, but maybe the world doesn't want to be changed, and maybe they are okay. So as long as you work together with some people, try to find some compromises, try to tell them which are the benefits, try to be agnostic, try to be pedagogic. But if they want, this is not religion. Is they don't want to follow you, there's no problem. We can work together. We can do. Of course, I will not try to find a job in a tailor is estimated by the recipe optimized parameterized company. I will not work with them because I will be the problem, not them.
Yeah.
So change the ones you can, write whatever you can, tweet whatever you can, give make some points, try to be fundamental, and try to be agnostic, try to be open to hear. But I will not want to change. I don't. Sorry, this is my position now. Live and let live. It's my motto.
Yeah. So okay. You are not willing to fight the wind.
No, not anymore. No, I try to write books, to write things, to teach people, to show them, but if they don't want to, they want to keep making the things in a way I don't consider a good way. It's up to them. I will don't try not to use their software because I know that they will have some software fault. And
Yeah.
oh, I have a null pointer exception, but I told you nulls were bad. Yes, but I fixed it. I put an if and a nullable, and then I have another null pointer. But I told you, okay, let's. But nulls, but everyone uses nulls, and nulls are okay. And this is the industry standard, and it saves me some bytecodes. And I say, okay, well, let's use yours. Let me not use your software, please. If I can choose, I cannot choose every software I use. I will use another software, and I will choose not to work with this kind of guys. But if I have to work, well, I I can show you what are my opinions on click code. You can hear it. I can be fundamental, but some things are too rooted on people, and if you attack the things, you attack the essence of the people. And this is a personal problem when you need to be very cautious on how you tell the people that they are wrong. And I don't want to change all the software that is done, because I cannot go against all major companies that want to ship fast and bad.
Yeah.
Okay, do ship fast and what? What's the problem? I am going to write in my blog. I will make a code sample telling what Google is doing is bad according to my knowledge. You can keep doing using the Google way, the Amazon way, the Microsoft way, of course, and you can. But Google says, okay, but Google might be wrong. I have my fundamentals telling this, but Google said, okay, I've also studied, I also read books, I follow interested people, I think I can challenge that. But if you say because it's the latest super framework, it's good, okay, you can do it. I will keep reading. I don't feel I will not feel the troll. I can have discussions, but I don't want to change the world. I don't want to change software engineering. I just try to do. It's a maturity process. We are in a very new discipline, and it will take a lot of time to be a good discipline. And I don't know how was engineering at the beginning. I don't know how was medicine at the beginning. I haven't studied how it was lawyers at the beginning. But I think all of the other professions pass through these stages of mess. And we are brand new. We don't have 50, 70 times of experience, and we are playing with toys. And this is going to be as long as I live, I guess. And sometimes some will say, okay, look at this code that was in React framework. Oh, how they did the things. Oh, they were completely wrong. Yeah, but they were learning. But Turing says 50 years, nobody read Turing. But Alan Perley said, nobody read, they want to ship fast. Poor guys. Now we're mature and software is not broken anymore. Nobody says the system is down in 2100 because we are mature. Of course, I think we are going to be there. Not me, but the world, if we don't annihilate ourselves. So we are in this stage. It's a breakthrough at this stage. It's exciting stage, but it's a difficult stage.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and there's a lot of respect I have for people who go and say, "Look, I'm doing things this way," and but what irritates me and others is when people claim one thing and doing the exact opposite and still claim that it's the thing they claim.
But why do you put in the position of a judge? O sea, I know it can irritate you to say, oh, this is my face and this is what my doing, and they are complete, but let them be wrong.
Yeah.
What's
you have to afford to be able to do that, because sometimes you have no option but to work in such.
Yes, well, choose your bullets.
Right?
We have a short life, and we need to choose where to put our energies. And I will choose random. I will try to choose wisely my time, because I'm short of time, like any human. We're mortals, and I don't engage in that kind of fights anymore. I have my rants, and in Twitter, but I try not to engage. I try to say, okay, well, you said that and you did that. Well, I will put no, delete, remove comments. Don't feed the troll. I'm not the judge of any. I can have my own thoughts, but I will not start a discussion that will take my mind from my goals, that are not discussing with people that it is not true to themselves.
Okay.
It's a time of energy saving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. One last thing I want to mention to you is, you tell me what you think, is I'm working with a friend on an idea, and here's how the idea came about. Back in the COVID days, in the pandemic, there was a scandal in one Canadian province that cost some lives, and the scandal was traced back to improper bookkeeping. People who were keeping books were doing a very lousy job, and some lines got crossed. And to cut a long story short, it was a scandal. And then I don't know how that happened, but all of a sudden they came to the point, say, look, we need to have what's the, we need to have a program for designated bookkeepers. So not because
Mm.
okay, back then you can I can be a bookkeeper. Yeah, sure. I know how to type. I can keep the books, and it all goes to hell, right? So, and that was a pretty good success. It got some traction and blah blah blah. So now we're thinking about designated software developer or designated a program, and I'm thinking about forming a guild. Like you have a guild of this and that profession, a guild of software developers, where we could go through some designation process. So now I can say, look, I'm that level one designated. I can do this much. I cannot really design things, but I can follow paint by numbers or something. I can use ChatGPT, blah blah. And so, do you think that would help? Some kind of designation?
I think I don't know of the scandal you mentioned, but I think if it's related to government, there should be some responsible of the tracing of the government decisions. So I think it should be a designator there. But who regulates software? We came back to the issue. Who designates the designator, and or which software processors are going to be under the umbrella of this kind of search? I don't think it will be narrow enough to find, or broaden enough instead of broad enough to find designation for auditability of software in every aspect of life. I think we should do it for mission critical, as we talked before, but I don't see the point for doing this in commercial software, for example, SAP or something, or Google Office or Microsoft Office or whatever product
Because the
should be.
reason, sorry to interrupt, but the reason, like right now, I'm hiring people, I'm interviewing people, and we have widened our net because it's work from home is now okay. But you see, reading a resume or talking to references, to me doesn't give me enough. And now I have to spend some time interviewing the candidate. They may be overseas, they may be right scattered all around the world. It is not easy. It's much easier local, I think. So if that person comes to me with some kind of designation, right, I would know right away. It's kind of similar to SAFe, SAFe, Scaled Agile Framework. Yeah,
Mhm.
people hate it and all that, but it's also some kind of designation, right? And it's promising you that, yeah, a person who's holding this SAFe designation is capable of understanding whatever they're selling. And they're self-proclaimed, self-appointed experts. But people are buying, companies are buying. You can get, sometimes you can apply to some position and they say, well, if do you have a SAFe designation? No, I don't. Well, sorry, the policies we're not hiring. And so this guild provides some designation. So at least I know when somebody's approaching and holding this designation, I know right away, okay, this guy has been through Solid, has been through Yagni, because a lot of people don't even know what it means, right, at this point. And they just shove you some resume, which like means nothing. And, so anyway, that's the long story cut short, that if you happen to be interested in maybe becoming part,
Yeah,
it would be great.
it's not part of my current interests, but if you have enough traction, I think it will be a point like was the Agile Manifesto, or something that we can see a movement. You need to find a momentum of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
things you are doing. I will not be your early adopter because, as I said, I'm doing a lot of other stuff. But if you get enough attraction or momentum, I will ride on. Of course, I think it will be. What would I want more in the world that be watching software being made in a better way? It will be, when I say this is not a battle I'm fighting, it's because I think we don't have the weapons nowadays. But if you show me you have some weapon in a good way of a weapon, um, I can move on. I think nowadays I'm more confident on more other standard tools like books or blogs or YouTube video or something to have momentum, but this is not working. So maybe your idea is better than the usual business as usual. So if you have momentum, it will be a good ride, I think.
I think if there was a guild, which
Yeah.
we don't have as a software profession, we don't have a guild. But guilds are for centuries. These guilds have been with us, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it does gives you certain. It's kind of a soft regulation. It's not, but
Yeah.
no, if
Mandatory.
somebody's holding a designation from a guild, the guys knows something, right? And right now in software, I don't know, right? Resumes are lying. People are like
Yeah, but,
anything.
but certifications are liars too. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
like much software certifications because I know they are easily cheatable.
Yeah.
You can be certified on whatever you want without knowing the things because
And
there's an industry on certifications. So
certifications, a lot of them are also vendorized, and they're like
yeah,
well,
yes,
Cisco, blah,
yes.
blah. I don't care about that. But the software profession guild, which is like you say, fundamentals, having the you know uh, the first principles sorted out. At
Hmm.
least somebody I know that somebody who is holding that in their hand is worthy of my consideration, right? Because I can tell you, I'm interviewing like dozens and dozens of people. It's always not going anywhere, right? It's so
Oh,
discouraging to talk to people and to realize that they're just completely clueless, and that like you said, they just know React this and that, and they think that's good enough to land the job.
yeah.
So anyway,
So
yeah, so that's something that, but if you know anyone who'd be interested, please send them my way.
yeah, yeah. You can put if you want to put it on a LinkedIn post or something. I can push it. Uh, no one in my mind, no one comes to my mind that you don't know. Maybe the things we know together, maybe the first ones, but let's say it better. Let's make it more sellable, more something more fancy and some more exciting thing. No, because as you said, a guild is something that has a stamp, and maybe that's not what we're looking after. We're looking to be better, any one of us, and maybe this should be the way we need to sell it. I don't. I think we need to make it work a couple of iterations to make it more sellable, something that was more sexy to buy, to say, oh, if this guy has the card, as you say, oh, this will be a good enough software, and I'm pretty sure it will be maintainable and good and shippable and will not have the error because he has to. Okay, I think we can work on that. I don't know how much is your work in progress, but of course,
Yeah.
I will push it
Also,
forward.
Max, it's also good if companies start like they're doing now with Safe. They start quoting
Yes.
members of this guild will be given priority. Blah blah. All of a sudden, people, oh wait, because people are opportunistic and everybody's looking to.
Yes. It's
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I just wanted to run that by you because I think you're one of the luminaries in our world.
okay.
We need to pick your brain. But to not take too much of your time, just to wrap up on the ChatGPT, let's maybe check next year how it's going and how your predictions are
I
going.
don't think we need one full year. Let's check it next month.
You mentioned June. So
I
what's
think we're faster now. Then in a year we don't know. There will be flying cars according to Back to the Future, but there will
yeah?
be flying cars.
But what you're saying is deep fake will become reality, right?
Yeah, I think that this is I gave you an example. I think it will happen next year. Sadly.
So you can craft a little video clip with showing me robbing the bank and running away, right?
Yeah, or saying something that you don't want to say. Like
Yeah.
I have a video of Alex saying that you need to estimate every bit of software, and I will publish on my social networks to bully you.
And
Uh,
only idiots use TDD, right?
Yeah.
Alex came to his senses and released this video.
Yeah. It will be an April Fool. Let's achieve it for next April, and in April's Fool, I will forward to your contact and say this is the video that Alex don't want you to see.
He was caught.
An April's Fool joke.
We caught Alex when he was drunk at the bar, and he was
Yeah.
talking
No, it
against-
was not that. Sadly, it was not. It was his real thought, because he's the guy that says something and does that. That's another thing.
He has no
we can-
integrity. No integrity. Okay, Max.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Well, have a great year. Have a happy
you.
new year.
New
a great,
year.
exciting engineering year.
Yeah.
And let's
Thank
see.
you. Same to you, and good luck with your students.
Yeah, it will be a big challenge. Bye bye.
Bye bye.